the FTC yesterday moved to ban non-compete agreements. This is Lina Khan's kind of latest victory over corporate power. It was described by some as perhaps the best thing that the Biden administration has ever done, because what it can do is unleash significant wage growth and significant kind of economic opportunity for people up and down the ladder. Let's actually roll Lina Khan first. This was an interview posted yesterday with the news organization More Perfect Union, coinciding with the final vote. Here's a little clip from that interview. Here's FTC Chairwoman Lina Khan.
A lot of the comments that we got were from workers that actually wanted to go start their own competing business. We heard from people in the asphalt business that saw an opportunity in the market, wanted to go start a rival firm, but weren't able to do so because they were locked in with a non-compete.
And there's actually, correct me if I'm wrong, there's attorneys and bankers who make a decent income who are also affected by non-compete agreements, right?
That's right. I mean, we got comments from across the income level. People making near minimum wage, but also people making tens of thousands of dollars or even hundreds of thousands of dollars, sharing stories about how non-competes had been devastating for their lives. We heard from doctors in rural America who shared how non-competes really limit their ability to continue providing care for their patients if they ever look to change employers. So this is having real world effects, harming Americans and harming their communities.
As you were talking, I was thinking of corporate M&A attorneys and big bankers at firms who work on mergers. And I would just want to make a point to them that Lina Khan's got your back. So you'll have more freedom of movement as a result of this non-compete ban.
And so the joke there that they're making at the very end is at the expense of these mergers and acquisitions attorneys, because their whole job is to consolidate corporate power, to bring corporations together. And Lina Khan's FTC.
No, it's consumers, right?
No, they're bringing benefits for consumers.
Yeah.
And their whole job is just to sit in the middle of these mergers and make money. And actually, they go out and pitch them constantly. Like it's one of those situations where the economy gets sort of a kink in it, and then in the kink develop a bunch of parasites who make a living off of it. Like lobbyists, for instance, and we can talk about this in a future program. Lobbyists are constantly going around creating problems that they then pitch themselves able to solve. It's this extra layer of problem that is deeper than just the fundamental layer of corruption. But nobody hates Lina Khan other than the Wall Street Journal more than kind of mergers and acquisitions attorneys because she's making it harder for corporations to consolidate. And so that's Faz Shakir, that's Bernie Sanders' campaign manager, saying, look, now you can go find another job, go start a new firm, thanks to Lina Khan, because non-competes up and down the ladder really make it difficult for economic innovation. I think Crystal and Sagar had one that they had to fight to get out of, when they went from Rising over to here, because corporations are always trying to make sure that they control absolutely everything.
Yeah.
And if they had their way, you wouldn't be able to have independent competing businesses.
Yeah.
Like the one we're sitting in right now.
Yeah, the FTC is estimating that it's like 1 in 5 workers currently bound by non-compete clauses. Now, in some industries, that's where the FTC is saying it's stifling because you don't have the freedom to kind of move and competitively, because that industry is so dominated. Whereas it would be one thing moving from industry to industry, one industry where maybe there's a non-compete or it's common to have a non-compete, another industry where basically nobody has non-competes, something like that. Matt Stoller has written that non-competes though have just exploded.
Yeah.
He said it was because of the ease of like printing contracts out, which is probably true. That it's just so easy now to like throw non-competes at people. It's so cheap to throw non-competes at people. And why not? But in certain industries, it does clearly stifle competition. There's no question about it. But where there are questions being raised, so the Chamber of Commerce has said they're immediately going to sue. They were beat to the punch, though. Let's put C3 up on the screen. This is the argument from the FTC Republican commissioner. 2 voted against on the FTC, and he said he was sympathetic to the rule banning non-competes, but beginning with policy puts the cart before the horse. And Matt said exactly what I thought: opposition on procedural grounds, and that was the lawsuit that was filed in Texas, basically immediately. By Eugene Scalia, the son of Antonin Scalia, who's making a very broad argument. And Stoller already sent out a newsletter, arguing against it, rebutting the points in the suit that was filed. But
Newsletter
basically,
is called Big. You guys should subscribe if you don't.
It's great. But basically saying that the FTC itself is unconstitutional, the FTC's powers are overly broad. That's an argument that I'm kind of sympathetic to, but Matt also kind of walks through how the FTC came to be because Congress was having an impossible time regulating such rapidly changing industries in the 20th century. Technology and the way markets were moving just made it very hard, and that's where the FTC came in. But where Republicans are going to challenge this, you even see the Republican FTC commissioner saying there, I'm sympathetic to this. Non-competes, the proliferation of them is genuinely problematic.
Yeah.
That's the sort of predicate for what he said. But the FTC itself has overbroad authority, and so we're challenging it on those grounds. I don't think that will be successful, but I don't know, Ryan.
And the ruling, the new rule leaves in place non-competes for high-level executives that are already in place, but bars future ones. But it invalidates ones for places like, for instance, Jimmy John's. My colleague Dave Jamieson, almost a decade ago, had kind of a breakthrough story that really put this issue on the map when he wrote about the fact that Jimmy John's, the sandwich place, was making its sandwich makers sign non-competes. So, in other words, and attempting to enforce them. So in other words, you're making $9 an hour, at Jimmy John's making subs, and then you see that there's another job at Subway. They're now offering $11 an hour. They're short-staffed. They need help. They would tell you, no, you cannot take that job.
How dare you take that proprietary knowledge?
Yeah, this proprietary knowledge of the way that you.
Great sandwiches.
They are freaky fast. It is true.
They really are, actually.
It's like, wait a minute, I just
incredible.
ordered this. How'd you already make this thing? So, however, the idea that you're going to prevent somebody from taking a better paying job at a different sandwich shop is just so anathema to the basic idea of freedom and the free market and all of the things that we're told are real about the market, like competition, supply and demand.
Yeah, I agree.
Everybody is taught these basic things, and it would be as if consumers were told, no, you're only allowed to shop at this store. Now, that is what the monopolies try to do structurally, but what these businesses are trying to do is legally say there are other businesses. You're just not allowed to work for any of them.
Matt also pointed out that Lena Khan made the argument that non-competes have forced people to stay at employers that sought to violate their religious liberty, and said these non-competes are robbing people of, quote, core constitutional liberties. And Matt said, who's the conservative here?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's legitimately a point to the way competition has been hampered. Obviously, you have even Republican FTC commissioners saying that's problematic. Now, Congress did legitimately delegate this power to the FTC.
And they appoint the commissioners, and they fund the agency.
And so we get into sort of CFPB territory, too, about if this is something that Congress delegated, it's power that Congress delegated, can you make this case on strong constitutional grounds? That's what's going to be tested.
Yeah, and it's a kind of micro version in some ways of what I was talking about recently with the way that TikTok was able to come in and dominate the social media space was because we allowed our big tech overlords to just basically stay in place on top of their piles of cash, and anytime a new tech company was coming along with some type of innovation that threatened their dominance in the market, they would do a catch and kill. They would just buy it and bring their engineers in,
throwback,
and smother the thing. Or if it was big enough, they'd kind of make it part of their monopoly operation, and that stifled innovation. And TikTok came from outside and was like, oh, you guys haven't developed any new social media in 10 years? Well, we've got a new algorithm that we think people are going to like. And now our response again is, well, we're gonna ban that, and we're gonna make you sell it to an American. So the point would be, if you are a company like Jimmy John's that is, you know, making freaky fast sandwiches, if you want to maintain your hold in the marketplace, you just have to continue to make freaky fast good sandwiches. Like, you cannot use this lawfare to try to build walls around your employees and to try to otherwise prevent competition from rising up. What you have to do is you have to outcompete. Mm-hmm. And I hate that these people are making me sound like some free market ideologue.
I know, I was gonna say, you were earlier in the show when you were like, thank you for, you know, subscribing and making this a profitable enterprise, and here we go with the competition and the free market.
There is a place.
You're gonna
for
sell me
markets.
crypto later.
You know where they actually have pretty effective markets where they allow businesses to rise and fail ruthlessly and quickly and in a way that produces actual economic value?
Heaven.
China.
Same thing.
That's what people like, and that's what people misunderstand about the kind of Chinese miracle over the last 20 years of economic growth, is that they actually allow businesses to fail. Our system is so corrupt that failing businesses are able to just build up, different mechanisms of maintaining subsidies.
I don't know if I agree with that, but regardless, we'll put a pin in it.
Hey, if you liked that video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to Breaking Points.
If you want to see the rest of Counterpoints, go to breakingpoints.com to become a premium member and get the full uncut show every morning in your inbox and on Spotify.
Help us build independent news and get the full show every morning at breakingpoints.com.